Hello, welcome in. Waiters on Campus Rivalry Recap Show Special Edition coming to you live from a Monday evening. It's finally happened. Ohio State has beaten that demon into the earth. True beatdown. Lane Kiffin is out at Ole Miss. You had a few other coaching changes, maybe a couple surprising ones that we'll discuss. Discuss a couple big games, look at the college football playoff as it stands today, what it would look like, 16-team playoff, which what it should be. Enough with all this pointless arguing. And we'll send you out of here. Talk to you later on Wednesday. But yeah, wanted to touch base, get this Monday show up and running. A lot to talk about. Sad. We are at the end of the regular season for college football. Can you believe it? Pretty incredible conclusion to the season. A couple upsets, a couple beatdowns, a couple snoozers, and just a couple non-rivalry games. All comes down to it. Pretty great Thanksgiving weekend. I hope everyone and their families had a great Thanksgiving weekend. Hopefully not overserved or overstuffed. Great spread as always this year. Just homemade GBCs, homemade cranberry sauce, the stuffing with some sausage in it, sourdough bread. Out of this world. Keep your box shit in the pantry. All the fresh food made this year was perfect. Ready to hit the ground running for December because you know it's bowl season. But we've got also some college football conference championship games coming up here, which we will discuss on Wednesday's show. Won't really dive into them that much, but we will just take a brief little preview just to see what's going on, what's the official layout of the week, a couple lines that might jump out on Monday, and yeah, we'll get it going from there. So, first off, before we dive into any games, just a brief recap of the week betting wise. Great week from the team. Mayor wasn't able to join, but always here in spirit and also had a card. The card went 7-4. You know, it wasn't his lock season, that's for sure. Georgia minus 14 was never in play. What a disgusting game that was, huh? Georgia Tech can't stop a nosebleed against Pitt, then all of a sudden they just look like the 85 Bears against Georgia. 16-9 final. Gross. Interesting. And then I give out my biggest bet, Ohio State minus 9.5. And then on the locks graphic, I put Oregon, Washington over. Guys just stopped playing ball. Looked good until it wasn't. That was my only blemish. Go 14-6 on the week. Save the best for last. I mean, we're up almost 12 units on the week. 3-4, 3-1 on best bets. 4-2 in Maction. End the season at 7-7 on my locks through the regular season. And 140, 121, and 2, which is a little over 54% in my total season, up 22 units because I was 8 over 500 in my best bets. So that's the bets that are going to be a couple more units than just a normal one. Boy, I pulled the trigger quietly. Didn't realize I didn't have it in a best bet category, but Boston College, not going to be a game we dive into, but -2 over Syracuse was quite literally the easiest bet of the entire season. Shout out to the Eagles. At Syracuse, they're in some deep trouble. Interesting to follow their offseason. So that's the betting recap. Speaking of off seasons, nope. Oh, there it is. Interesting. What's that score? Michigan, Ohio State. We'll talk about that game. But speaking of off seasons, we got coaching updates. Coaching carousel is in full effect here. Kentucky job just got filled as we were jumping on to record. Will Stein, the offensive coordinator from Oregon, looks like he's going to take that job. Decent fit. There's rumors that Brian Hartline might take it. He be an interesting transition there. I think he's just in the mode of getting ready to interview. He's going to take any interview he can. Not sure if he's willing to jump ship at a position he just took over this season. Obviously, head coaching is a slight bump from the assistant coaching job, but when you're in a position to not rush, I think you're best suited to stay where you can, because he's obviously always going to have a paycheck at Ohio State. So, Will Stein moves there. Biggest news. Obviously we've talked about James Franklin. That was a couple weeks ago. He's already at Virginia Tech, right there at the top of the list. The old Lane train wins the Egg Bowl Friday night. Deadlines keep going past on an announcement, on a team address. There's rumors that he's at the chancellor's house, AD's house, discussing options for this team. Comes out, he's taking the LSU job, and he is not welcome to coach Ole Miss through the playoffs. Lane said in a message that's tough, obviously I want to lead this team to where they deserve to go. But he also says to the coaches on my staff that I want you in LSU. If you're not on the plane, you're fired. Well, not fired, but you don't have a chance to coach in the LSU tenure. So it wasn't just Lane leaving Ole Miss. Interesting. Full contract hasn't been posted yet. Somewhere 7 years, 100 million. Disgusting. Disgusting. Interesting to see if there's buyouts or not. But exist. Defensive coordinator takes over immediately. Not as an interim, as a full head coach for Ole Miss. Looking at Lane's record and bio, I knew I always liked this prick. Him and I share the same birthday, May 9th. Classic. Maybe that's why I'm such a prick. Just a day in the stars. Pricks are born. Anyway, quite the coaching career when you look at it. Been here, been there, been on national championship teams, but hasn't done that at the helm. Have to think this has got to be his last stop for a while on his own choosing. Like, this has got to be it. There's only maybe one job in his mind that's bigger, Alabama. And maybe that's not even in his mind. My opinion, there's only 3 jobs bigger than LSU. It's Bama, Georgia, Ohio State. Lane doesn't seem like an Ohio State guy. Georgia, maybe. But he already got his chance of where he came in and at USC. We all know how that went. So anyway, 115 and 30 or 53, spit it out. Coaching record in college, 116, 53. Pretty good. I mean, the guy has done well with what he's been working with at Ole Miss. Last 6 years, brought them to national notoriety. It is going to be interesting to see if Ole Miss gets any sort of bump down from all this coaching staff leaving. If they are going to be punished in any sort of way. Do I think they should? Mm, I got to be honest. I mean, there's a guy that saw a D2 quarterback and pulled the trigger on him when Simmons got hurt and let him stay when Simmons comes back healthy and has kind of led him and mentored him into a comfortable role. And that person's gone now. Same with the offensive coordinator, Glasscock, classic. This isn't the same team. Players on the field play the game. I get it. But if we're going to give teams the benefit of the doubt by their logo, we're going to have to evaluate teams by everyone that's in the building. I think them having one loss is easier to swallow, keeping them in the playoff. But if they were 10-2 fighting, I mean, you look at Ole Miss and you look at a 10-2 Vandy, eye test, it's got to be Vandy. How can you keep Vanderbilt out of this playoff? That's what I want to know. I don't know if you can. 9-3. Yeah. We'll talk about that in the playoff section. But, yep, Lane is now at LSU. With that news, almost immediately after John Summerall leaves Tulane for Florida. A lot of people clamoring that this is a Billy Napier adjacent hire. That's ignorant. Summerall going to be bringing a little bit more oomph. I think 42-11 in his short head coaching career so far. I think he's just a little bit more of a leader than Billy Napier. No offense. Call it like we see it, though. Tulane, nice move. If they're able to win the AAC on Saturday and get into the playoff, John will be able to coach Tulane through that. Same thing with Bob Chesney. It was reported that Bob Chesney is now moving out to LA. Yeah, this is an interesting move. And sometimes when we talk about coaching changes and where they end up, people just only look at the program. And it's like maybe it is just like a location move. Like maybe you want to get out of Virginia and move to LA. LA's pretty sick when you make like $7 to $8 million a year. It's fucking paradise out there. I don't know if anyone told you. Sure, if you read Twitter, California is a dump, but if you ever go there, you're like, oh wow. Maybe these hillbillies in the hills of Arkansas have never been to California. No idea what they're talking about. So Bob Chesney leaves JMU. Second time in 2 years, JMU is now facing another coaching change. Obviously, Signetti. See how quickly they can rebuild. He will be able to stick around if Duke wins, and JMU is able to get that second bid. Which, oh man, I'd say let's see that happen before we start really diving into it, because that's terrifying. Terrifying to see. Fucking Bob Chesney. Yeah, I think Bob's pretty good at what he's been able to build so far. When we look at, I mean, he's only 48. He is, let's see, his head coaching record comes from John Hopkins. That's right. And Holy Cross. Built a bit of a domination at the FCS level. Going 100 and Touchdown, Patriots. Got the Monday night game on. Looking good. Yeah, and so he's 131 and 51. I mean, guy just wins wherever he goes. Only 48. It's going to be a great hire. Alex Golish, this one jumped out. Auburn poached him from USF. Great season, obviously. USF. And I think this is a pretty good hire. Obviously, a little bias. Alex Golish, Toledo connections, NIU connections. That is a touchdown, folks. Looks like simultaneous. Yeah, so Golish has been well. Great bounce back season. A little bit better than what they were expecting last year. Disappointment. 23 and 15 at USF. First head coaching gig. I think that it's an interesting hire. Auburn's been good with good players at quarterback. They've had an identity of mauling defenses in the years that they've been good. Cam Newton. They've had a electric quarterback, Nick Marshall. So I get a little wary of identities trying to get changed because the player pool gets thin fast. And if you try to change identities, the style of offense doesn't have enough to go around. Ask Wisconsin, ask Michigan State, ask these cold weather teams. So we'll see. See how that goes. Look how Alabama's stayed consistent, physical. They're there. Ohio guy, he'll get it done. So that opens up USF, and now hearing murmurs. Speaking of Toledo, Jason Candle and USF have mutual interest. So we'll see how that pans out. You heard it here first. Toledo might be in the market for a new head coach. We'll see. Next up, Ryan Silverfield. Interesting hire here. Just right across the state lines. Memphis to Arkansas. Silverfield, what have you done for me, Coach? What have you done for me to move up in the SEC? I'm not sure what they're doing here. This seemed like a rush hire. 74 and 50 at Memphis. Oh, I'm sorry, 50 and 24. 74 total games. At Memphis in his 6-year career there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 4-0 in bowl games. Nice little stat there. Guy just loves playing in December. But any big games that they've played in, they've lost. This past week got dominated by Navy. You lose falling asleep at the wheel to UAB this year. You get bailed out by Arkansas fumbling going into the end zone. I mean, this season could have been much worse than 8 and 4. And you've got the biggest budget in the AAC. You have FedEx bankroll right there in Memphis. So that's interesting. We'll see where that one goes. That team needs to be completely rebuilt. I mean, they are Taylor Green reliant. So when he leaves, it's similar to a Mississippi State situation. You're coming in for everything. Needs to be rebuilt. So we'll see. See who he brings from Memphis. Oh, that's a tough hit. Oh, man. How is that? All right. Distracted. Jim Moore a couple weeks ago. He left UConn for Colorado Springs. Remember I was talking about earlier, the UCLA from Virginia? Jim Moore obviously doing well at UConn, able to kind of build their own schedule. They did similar to Notre Dame, just kind of scheduled a lot of teams that are favorable for them. Nice 9-win season back-to-back for UConn. But if you've ever been to Storrs, Connecticut, yeah. Won't say mean things about cities, only teams. So let's just say Colorado Springs, more preferable. How about that? More preferable. Yeah, and you look back at this season, Colorado State, 6.5 win total, ends up with 2 wins. Jay Norvell is sailor dive that. So Jim Moore is going to come into a prime situation here. Well, he should be able to maneuver through the new Pac 12. Colorado State jumps to that next year. Interesting. Eric Morris, this was a hire over Thanksgiving break, going to Oklahoma State. Eric Morris going to Oklahoma State. I think it's a great fit. This is a similar situation where he's going to be able to. Um, they're letting him play, or I'm sorry, coach if North Texas plays. I like this by the G5s. Old Miss, take a note, pricks. Gosh, man, stick in the mud. Do what's best for your program. Maybe it will keep some of these guys around if you win an Natty. So I don't know. But Eric Morris, great hire. You have to think Oklahoma State's a leader in the clubhouse to land Mestamaker, uh, going to be by far the number one quarterback transfer prospect this upcoming season. Have to think he's going to follow his coach there. Incredible season that he's put on this year. And then lastly, breaking news today. If you haven't heard, Pat Fitzgerald's back in the game. Rightfully so. You know, we talked about it when James Franklin went Virginia Tech. I thought Fitzgerald would be an incredible fit at Virginia Tech. Thought he'd be a great fit at Penn State. He's going to Michigan State. Jonathan Smith out. Rightfully so. He sucks. They suck. Team sucks. Everything about it sucks. You play on turf that are up to their knees and you're trying to run these gadget, fast plays, fast offense. It's not going to work, bud. Quarterbacks that come out of there are a certain archetype of success. Your Kirk Cousins, your Drew Stantons. Just big and thick and powerful. Pause. Pause. Pat Fitzgerald follows those. 110 and 101, all at Northwestern. You say, oh, that's barely over 500 through 200 games. It's Northwestern. Like, are you kidding me? 5-5 in bowls? He went to 10 bowl games over 17 years. That program is an academic school. It is not a football school, and he made it a football school. Pat Fitzgerald with, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 3 10-win seasons, and 1, 2, 3, and 3 9-win seasons. Trip to the Big Ten championship in the COVID year, where they went 7-2, pushed Ohio State to the limits. Ohio State team went to the national championship. So he's put some good teams together, man. A lot of pro talent on the offensive line, defensive line. You can expect the same style of coaching. So I think that's a great hire for Michigan State. That is a great hire, folks. In my opinion. Open jobs, North Texas, Penn State, USF, Memphis, Tulane, James Madison, Cal, Wilcox got canned. Tim Beck got canned today, Central or Coastal Carolina. UK filled just as we hopped on here. And then UConn and UAB. Like I mentioned, Toledo might come open, but I'd have to expect that they would backfill with their defensive coordinator. If Candle does leave and takes the USF job, I think they would hire Vince Karras as the head coach. I'm not sure we can see any other potential firings that haven't happened already because you want to get the new guy in as soon as possible in the transfer era. I know they moved that window to January, so we'll see. A lot of rumors that Kalani Sitake might be taking the Penn State job. I don't think that's a great fit. I think they're scrambling. I think they got to promote Terry from within. Sharon Moore situation, just kind of the pool shrunk fast. Let's not go rush our huge contract to an outsider. Keep the insider, Terry Smith, and then just give him a short leash. Keep him in the program. It doesn't harm if he doesn't work out. And go get a big name when it opens up. Or maybe don't fire James Franklin. Did you ever think of that, Penn State? Oh, man. Back and forth battle with Rutgers to end your season. That's delightful. Yeah, I'm not sure we could see anything else opening that comes to mind. There's rumors. Maybe Michigan comes open. Maybe. But who are they going to go get? Sharon Moore is not the guy. We can all agree there. Is this like 2007 all over again? Every year for like 8 years was Les Miles is coming back to Michigan. Are they going to go get old man Les Miles? Just get Belichick to Michigan. That would be hilarious. Get Billy B. We'll see. All right. That's all the coaching talk, coaching changes. A lot of moving and shaking. Interesting. See if Hartline goes anywhere. I predict he won't. All right. Let's talk about this past week. Let's dive into the playoff brackets, what we might be looking at. College football playoff rankings haven't been released. AP's been released. No one cares. Vanderbilt moved back after shellacking Tennessee. You have to think that's not going to be the case in the college football playoff. Miami beat the shit out of Pitt, though. Folks, we're getting really close to just we got to do they can change the rules. They can do whatever the hell they want. We got to do a play-in game. It's like we got to play in Miami and Notre Dame. Those two teams play. Winner should advance, right? If those two teams were able to face head-to-head at some point this season, we could settle this whole debate about who gets in. Yeah, if that can happen, we could just get the right team into the 12-team playoff. So we'll see. See how that one goes. All right, my opinion, Texas A&M. Man, why couldn't South Carolina just finish the job? Texas A&M's not a playoff team. Come on. They're not. It was a nice start to the season. South Carolina really just making it a little harder than it had to be. Got them down in the 8th seed playing Alabama. Now, here's the thing. This is all current. This isn't what I project is going to happen because I do think we've got another Miami Notre Dame situation on our hands. They're saying that they don't want to punish the conference champions participants. If Bama loses to Georgia by multiple scores, then you're going to shove this eye test bullshit down my throat with Notre Dame head-to-head with Miami. How can you not tell me the eye test for Bama and Vanderbilt? Bama scores late to make that a 2-score game. But Bama just struggled against Auburn. At night, Jordan Hare. I know. But Vanderbilt's the most electric team in college football. Electric. Must watch. Must see. Pave's your Heisman. Definitely no bias for someone holding 125 and 201 ticket on the guy. Definitely no bias. I would tell you guys if there was. Seriously. That is... The journalistic integrity means more than just a couple $1,000s on some incredible future bets back-to-back years. I mean, who would do that? Anyway, I don't know. 9-3 is 9-3. What's the point? If you can't beat a playoff team, Georgia, on the biggest stage, then why even put them in? Why even play the SEC championship if we're not going to count it? So that's where they're at currently. That's where I think they should be if they lose convincingly. Moving down, Oregon's moved up just by proxy by Texas A&M looking so bad in the second half. They're playing Tulane, North Texas, in their last week. I think Tulane's just going to be a more complete team that North Texas hasn't been really seeing in the last few weeks that they've been blowing out teams, and I can be ready for that physical ball, be able to get to Mustamaker. We'll see. Oklahoma, Virginia. Virginia 100-1 to win the ACC preseason. Let me see that ticket. If you don't have a degree from Virginia and you have that ticket, like, where's your DeLorean? Clearly, you have Biff's Sports Almanac. Insane. Look at their schedule. I mean, maybe they shouldn't even be in ahead of James Madison. Teams they've beaten, they've lost to. Schedules, their wins are somehow worse than Notre Dame's. Speaking of, if Duke wins, there's chaos. James Madison will be ranked ahead of Duke. Duke is 7-5. They would be 8-5. The ACC not coming in and saying we changed our tiebreaker. Tough shit. Miami's in the conference championship. They have the same record. Better out of conference record. Better everything else. First, maybe what I don't know how they lost, but this can't happen. This can't. Conference is not being taken seriously. For a second, Clemson had a chance. They're 7-5. Let's just put them back in there. Get our future back. Oklahoma 6, moving up. Hey, everyone's shitting on Oklahoma recently. Let me tell you, defense is pretty. Defense is fun to watch when you know what you're getting. And you know what? Again, they had a couple more explosive plays when they needed it. But this defense is suffocating. Like when you have an opposing offense that's playing Oklahoma, that's playing Ohio State, it's like watching someone that you care about sink in quicksand. Like that's how dominant these lines are. So people that want to shit on Oklahoma as the 10-2 team being out, no thank you. Please watch ball. It's not about scoring 60. Still have Ole Miss in. Ole Miss playing Notre Dame. Listen, this is what I think they're going to do. This is not what I would do. Miami would be in this 10 spot. It's all it comes down to. Doesn't matter if you play it in August or November. All means the same thing. Wins and losses. Indiana 2 seed, Georgia 3 seed, Texas Tech 4 seed, Ohio State 1 seed are the buys. I mean, unless there's an Ohio State Wisconsin situation, 59-0. Tough to see any of the Big Ten championship game losers dropping out of a bye. Yeah, so I think we're definitely in a situation that Texas Tech should move up to a bye. Georgia pretty comfortably in a bye. I don't think, like, who's going to be your fourth bye if Alabama wins? It can't be Oregon. It just can't. They have the most fraudulent resume. They have a more fraudulent resume than Notre Dame. So we'll see. Yeah, that's what I think top 12 is. All right, let's look at my top 16 bracket here. This is what we should be in. First two rounds are buys. Real quick, since it doesn't exist right now, but just how much more comfortable would you feel with these matchups? First two rounds are buys to the higher seed. Ohio State hosting Tulane. 116, 8-9, Texas A&M, Alabama. 4-13, Texas Tech, Vandy. 5-12, Oregon, Miami, Florida. Damn. $2.15 Indiana UVA. 7:10 Ole Miss Notre Dame. 3 Georgia. 14 Utah. And then Oklahoma BYU. So did I? Yeah. Yeah. I mean, do we think there's any other teams that are like even worthy of a competition since we all agree that, ACC is whack? Like if I could, I'd just leave the UVA automatic bid winner in out and put JMU in since Miami would represent the ACC. Like I think it should be just one conference gets a automatic bid. Conference can decide if it goes to the champion or not with this crazy situation. Yep. That's a perfect 16 team bracket. Potential 2 upsets. The Holy War in the second round, Utah BYU. I mean, come on. Like monumental playoff rivals, Ohio State, Alabama second round. Come on. You got Notre Dame, Indiana rematch from last year. God, this is the only thing that fucking makes sense. So stupid. All right. Talk about that more on Wednesday. Trying to keep the show to 45 minutes. As you see scrolling on the bottom, got a lot of the games that have been recapped. So let's talk about them. Let's talk about Friday game first. Texas A&M. Pretty slow start to the game. 10-3 at half. A&M leads. Didn't really feel like that was the right team to be leading, but you know, good teams figure out a way. As much as I don't want to see Texas A&M in the playoff, they've done what they should. They've put W's on the board. It's not about the games you should have lost. It's games that you actually lose and win. Texas comes out after what we thought would be again another dud by Arch in this passing offense, and they just look like 2007 Patriots. I mean, Arch is just slinging it all around the playing field, all around the sandbox. Texas ends up dominating. Not even close. 27-17. Longhorns clamoring for a playoff spot with their quality wins in their schedule. Don't lose to Florida. Don't lose to Florida. Don't lose to a 5-win Florida. That's it. Own your schedule. I know they're paying Sarkisian whatever to puppet his mouth. He's going to say whatever he needs to say. He knows he's not a playoff team. You schedule Ohio State because if you win that game, that's the biggest resume booster of the entire season, but you don't. You lose that game. You look lifeless. You don't score. You don't get across the 50 more than twice. You don't score until 3 minutes left in the game, getting dominated. So good on Texas getting that win. Great momentum. We'll see who sticks around, a.k.a. Arch. Boy, he would be misguided, and I don't think he's misguided. Got to say one thing about him. He's not in a rush. So I fully expect him to be back next season. If at Texas, maybe they don't want him back. Boy, would that be a portal to remember. All right, next up, we're gonna skip one game. We'll talk about it last. So let's talk about Smoky Mountain Showdown. Coined here. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia, Tennessee. Boy, oh boy, did they look good. Some adversity. Oh, some adversity early on. Turned the ball over a couple times, which has been an Achilles heel for sure. But they stormed back to tie it up going into half, 21 all. Then just boom, right out in the third quarter, 10 points unanswered. They outscored Tennessee 24-3 in the second half to really blow this open. Pavia finishes 18-28, 270 yards passing, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, but 165 yards passing, 1 touchdown. He's now responsible for over 4,000 yards. Most touchdowns responsible for in the Heisman category. Back-to-back weeks. He's just dominated the game. He's taken over. Too turnt. Feels too right. Tell you what, you see these odds, I will give it to the books. They are on top of it. They leave the Heisman odds open during games. You needed to trust saying. If you liked Ohio State spread, you needed to trust saying. Move from plus 400 to plus 125 at some books. Mendoza right there at plus 100. Biggest jump, Pavia. At some point, middle of the week last week, I saw him plus 1,200. Look at the books now, plus 300 on DraftKings. Jeremiah Love, see ya. That was cute. See you, bud. Adios. Playing a CUSA schedule is not going to get you the Heisman, and I'm glad we're starting to realize that. So, yeah, Vanderbilt makes a big statement here. Last year jumped out, if you remember, to a 14-0 lead. Tennessee clobbered them. From then out, I think it was like 38-17 or something. They just beat the crap out of them after that. Didn't cover 14.5. I know that. Wild. So, great game by Pavia. Vanderbilt's now just at the mercy of everyone else. Realistically, let's talk about this. Just free think here. They need an Alabama like embarrassing loss. They need BYU to lose. They need Virginia to win. And they need, gosh, who else can lose in front of them? And they need a Ole Miss deniers club. Is that what we're thinking? I mean, realistically, you ask me. I mean, Vanderbilt's better than Oregon. Oregon has beaten nobody. Just I don't know. You're at the mercy of your own schedule. Schedule is ahead of time. You don't schedule a couple weeks in advance. I get that. Eye test. Dante Moore is not the guy. Diego Pavia, much bigger guy. So, yeah, Vandy is on life support, unfortunately, for the playoff. 16 team. They're in easily. Let's get it to 16. All right. Iron Bowl at night. Weird game. Back and forth. First seemed like Bama was just the play. 10-0 jumped out. Just dominating. Dominating this game. And then it kind of gets a little tighter in second quarter. Third quarter, Auburn comes out. Finally, defense is back. Holds them to 3. It's now 13-20. Auburn ties it up, 20 all. Bama answers. We got Auburn driving down the field. They're in the red zone. And boy, oh boy, has it become far too normal these days in college football. But the peanut punch ends Auburn's hope of playing spoiler. Fumble ends the game. Got to get these wide receivers down. Just not strong enough to handle punches. That's really all it comes down to. Get these wide receivers down on the ground. So that spoils everything because Bama loses. It's Georgia Ole Miss. Georgia can beat down Ole Miss. Ole Miss is out of the playoffs. Bama's out of the playoffs, 9-3. Vandy's in comfortably. Miami's probably in. Thanks, Auburn. Thanks. Ruined it in more ways than you could possibly imagine. Disgusting. So, goalish era starts for Auburn now. Good luck, Alex. Win those Iron Bowls. And finally, what y'all been waiting for, the game. What an interesting start. Hmm? What an interesting start. Jordan Marshall down the sideline, 30-yard gain. Second play of the game, I think. No snow yet. You say, oh, shit. But these big chunks, though, haven't been happening till the third or fourth quarter the last couple years in these games. So you're like, uh-oh. Did the guys just walk from the hotel room carrying 100-pound weights? Are they already moving slow? No, they're not. They're not. They hold them to a field goal. Mets, whatever this guy's name is, Zoltan. Nails after the shaky showing from the Northwestern game. And Julian saying they come out, they throw a bomb the first play, incomplete. Boom, you saw it. Interception. Bad read, terrible read. Like completely locked in on Jeremiah Smith is easily his worst throw of the season. Just from full breakdown of the play, trying to force first 15 game plan when it wasn't there. Jordan Marshall breaks another big run down to the 10. This is where Ohio State for the last 24 months has been far and away the best in the entire country. Is red zone and even further breaking down goal to go situations, keeping teams out of the end zone. That showed they didn't even get close. Didn't even get close. Settled for a field goal. 6-0. 6-0. And then it's all over from there. It really was. Like from that point, when you think about this game and how it kind of broke down was it showed that Michigan is paying $13 or $20 million for an Alex Orgy clone. Like, is that wrong to say? Like, they've got Alex Orgy 2.0, except they're paying him $3 million a year. Orgy's making like lunch money out at UNLV. He's still playing. Well, he's still backing up. But next drive, Ohio State does settle for a field goal, get it on 1st and goal at the 1 off of a bonehead. How does young man stay in the game headbutting the ref? That's going to be interesting to see. And that ended up being Michigan's only penalty of the game. 1 penalty for 3 yards. Still got taken out back like a bad kid that needed to learn a lesson. Next drive, Michigan goes 3 and out. Touchdown. People are going to be talking about if this game wasn't a blowout. Jeremiah Smith. I mean, you look at the play. He controls the ball across the goal line. Do not need to survive since you did not go to the ground. Has the ball in his hand, pinned to his chest, into the goal line. It's a touchdown. You can argue with a wall because that's the only thing that's going to listen to you. Touchdown, 3 and out, Michigan. Ohio State ends up punting 3 and out. Um, I'm sorry. Michigan's able to put a drive together, gets a field goal, and then Ohio State drives all the way down the field. And this is what was maybe the most impressive part was the methodical drives they were able to put together, capped off by Brandon Ennis, 17-9 going into half. Now, this is where only an 8-point game, you say Ohio State gets the ball at half. They're looking to 2 for 1 because they score with 16 seconds remaining at half. They come out and they punt the ball. Not a 3 and out. 6 plays or so, 8 plays, punt it. You say, oh. Now it's starting to snow. Now we're starting to see some snow accumulate. But you had a feeling, even though Michigan had started to punt almost every possession, it's still a 1-score game. And that's as a huge underdog in 2 scores this year. You know that's all you need. I mean, last year, they scored 1 touchdown. So familiar territory. But Ohio State goes 4 and out for Michigan. And then now the Heisman moment comes to play. Shank. This is one of the worst punts from Michigan you will ever see. A shank. Probably, what was the official punt here? 11-yard punt. It wasn't out of bounds. It was like in the air, 11 yards past the line of scrimmage. Yuck. So 7-yard completion, then a 50-yard bomb to Carnell Tate from Julian Sayin. Julian Sayin runs down the middle of the field, giving the old hush to the crowd over his face mask, and that's game. Ohio State, next time they get the ball, proceeds to pull their best academy impression here. 20 plays, 81 yards, 12 minutes of game clock. And that's ball game. End with a field goal. Michigan's next 2 drives go -6 yards and 5 yards, taking a total of 2 minutes off the clock. They're held to -9 yards rushing in the second half. It was complete domination. It was the exact same game as Penn State. 0 points in the second half, negative yards rushing. Ohio State gets better as the game goes on, and other teams cannot keep up. What a game. What a game. As much as I want Pavi to win the Heisman, you have to think Julian Sayin. Officially got his Heisman moment. Mendoza had 0 touchdowns in that Penn State game until his wide receiver completely bailed him out on a terrible throw that was out of the end zone. His wide receiver makes one of the better catches of the entire season. So, I don't know. Mendoza, more relying on his supporting cast. You say, oh, Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate. Yeah. Sayin can make them look good too. He can just put the ball where they just go out and grab it. So, we'll see. All comes down to Indianapolis. Already have -5.5 on the books. This is an outmatched team. Early look. Go get it. Go bet it. Ohio State -5.5. Saw some books maybe even early plays on Indiana, 4.5. Yeah, I mean, keep buying it. I'm willing to take this as the same exact line as the Michigan game, 9.5. It might alt spread it, please it up by kickoff. This is a team that can get bullied on the line with Indiana, and this is a team that will get completely outclassed in the dome setting. They haven't faced anything close to it outside of maybe their practices. But Surratt and Cooper in practice, just nothing compared to the size of Jeremiah Smith, Carnell Tate, Brandon Ennis. We'll see. Could be getting ahead of my skis there, but it's my initial read on what I'm seeing for the Big Ten Championship. And we will talk about that on Wednesday and much, much more. Thanks for sticking around on the Monday recap show. Love bringing it to you. We'll have a special show for when the bracket is revealed on Sunday. Can't wait. It's bracket season for college football. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of controversy, especially if BYU wins. And we'll talk about the betting angles, and we'll look at a few of our futures that are still have alive and kicking that maybe we should double down on Wednesday. Thanks for the support as always. Tell your friends, subscribe, like, comment, giving us feedback, or just talk shit. Love it. Love you guys. Bye.